magic. You can feel it in the air, in the altitude. Feel it when you can't breathe.
Life in a barrel. Life in a barrel. Life in a barrel.
What it do, Broncos country, and welcome to Life in a Barrel, inspired by the legacy of the late Broncos superfan Tim Barrelman McKernan. We seek to give you raw, educated, unfiltered Denver Broncos news, takes, and opinions you'll only get from superfans. I go by the name of Town, and joining me every week, my partner in crime. Please welcome Tariq Hatchet Young to the show.
Life in a barrel. Oh, my bad.
Hey, it happens, bro. It happens.
The theme song's catchy. What can I say?
It really is. It really is. Shout out to the theme song. But Reek, how you living, brother?
Another day in paradise. What can I say?
Yeah, it's living the dream.
Ready to get over this week, get on to vacation next week or whatever.
Oh.
So I wouldn't call it a vacation. It's more of a business trip, but
Got you. Where you headed?
Gotta go to AZ. Got a game out there so we can get some natty contention. So,
Okay. You know who you playing?
Yeah, they called the Tamatoa of Arizona.
Okay. Interesting. But how's your overall week been, man?
Not too bad. Ready for it to be Friday, tired. How about you?
Shit, man. I'm right there with you, man. It's been a crazy few weeks for me trying to figure out a routine between, working a new job and then being a football dad and then just a parent in general, man. Like it's a motherfucker sometimes. But before we get started, we want to remind y'all that we are doing a Denver Broncos jersey giveaway when our YouTube channel gets to 100 subscribers. With the draft coming up, maybe you're wanting to get whoever the Broncos draft in the second round's jersey. Maybe the Broncos aren't done trading and they move back into the first round and pick up a game changer. This is your opportunity to get their jersey as they enter Broncos country. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel and share with your people. And when we reach 100 subscribers, we will be launching the giveaway.
Make sure y'all share it. Come on. I'm going to give a shout out to a very special lady, Miss Shelley. Miss Shelley being a real one. She always sharing our podcast as soon as the episodes come out and everything. She's showing love. Make sure y'all come out and support, but also subscribe so you can get the free jersey. Come on. How many times we got to say it? You want a free jersey. I don't know how many times we got to advertise it. I'm going to just have to start pulling up on y'all at this point.
Hey, man, I wouldn't be opposed to that. And, y'all heard Reek. Share it with your people. But most of all, again, shout out to Miss Shelley. Thank you for the support. We appreciate you.
Real one
for sure. But this week, our agenda is to look at the Denver Broncos offense and go position by position to dissect where our strengths, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities are. But Reek, before we start diving into the Broncos roster, there's something that came across my timeline last night. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at. Our old friend, Melvin Gordon, Mr. I knew I was about to fumble himself. Fresh off signing a one-day contract and retiring with the Chargers, went on former Texas A&M and Cleveland Brown quarterback Johnny Manziel's podcast called Glory Days to discuss a handful of things. But the topic of the Denver Broncos came up, and things got real interesting when discussing his time here as our running back. Now, I'm just going to run this clip, and we'll come back after and discuss it.
Bro, my situation was, it was fucked up, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Just a lot of Charger people really didn't, get the story. Just with my whole ordeal, bro, I found out that, my contract, I was going to Denver over Twitter. I never got to choose, really. And I guess in a sense I got to choose, but I didn't. And, my agent, and granted them, my agent, were really good, bro. They were some good agents, bro. I think it was just some miscommunication, and it's, my fault is I have to take accountability in my own actions. They told me to do some things to get the contract. They told me to make some decisions beforehand before we got put in that position that I didn't make. And that's on me. You know, I put myself in a tough position. You know, it was just a lot going on in life with everything, and it was just a hard decision to make. But you know, I'm on the phone with Vaughn. You know, I'm talking to Denver. You know, I'm on the phone with Vaughn, just trying to see the best situation, and I'm on the phone with LaShawn McCoy. You know, as I'm on the phone with LaShawn McCoy, you know, I'm thinking that, you know, it was a 1-year deal to Buffalo. And you know, obviously that deal was better than the 2-year deal, just with my age, you know. And as I'm talking to, you know, LaShawn McCoy on the phone, my phone start buzzing. I'm like, bro, what the hell going on? And then I see Melvin Gordon signing with the Denver Broncos. I'm like, bro, what the hell? I'm like, oh shit, like, so I called my agent, like, bro, like, what happened? Like, damn, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought, you know, Buffalo was in the thing or whatever. He like, man, someone signed this morning or something. So, you know, the deal's off the table. You got Denver or you have Seattle for 5. So I guess he had just told him I signed. I don't know what the case was, but you know, I just remember just, you know, I was in Florida at the time. It was during the COVID stuff. I remember just crying and just being like, damn, like, you know, I spent my whole 20 years just to, you know, lose everything, my whole opportunity, my dream of signing this lucrative, you know, contract, gone in the span of 3 days. Everything I've worked hard for just gone like that. And so I had to get in the media and act as if, and a lot of the Bronco guys know this, Philip Lindsay know this, because I was really confused with that too. I'm like, why is me and Philip Lindsay was just at the Pro Bowl. Like, I don't understand this. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And it's just, you know, I had to get in the media and act as if like, you know, I wanted to, you know, go against the Chargers. And then my agent then was told too that, you know, that if Austin Eckler had signed, that they wouldn't sign me back. Cause I told him at one point, I'm like, bro, I just want to go back to the Chargers. Like, I don't really care what the deal is. Like, just talk to him, you know? And it just, you know, I think with that, with my agents, it was just some miscommunications because I had 2 different agents. But I still, to this day, I think they were both great agents. You know what I'm saying? I think, like I said, if I would have listened to them, bro, from the beginning, I wouldn't have put myself in that position. But, you know, my grandma had passed away. You know, I was having relationship issues. You know, I got to a point to where no player should feel like, to where you only feel like you have your team. And, you know, it wasn't about the money. Everybody thought it was about the, you know, everybody thought, oh, it was, you know, they offered you 11 years. I was more so pushing for the years. You know what I mean? And to this day, I was super close with Tom Telesco. He was the GM at the time. And today I still regret not just texting him and just being like, hey, bro, let's just work this out. Like, let's figure this out. And then we leaving it up to somebody else. And bro, that shit just, that killed me. So my whole time in Denver was just really it was bad because I felt like I never made the decision to go there. You know, I was just kind of forced to go there in a sense. And you're not forced to go anywhere, right? But just financially, that's just what made the best sense. And it was just like, bro, how did I get here? So, you know, I appreciate Coach Mockins and you know, some of the teammates because, bro, I was depressed there, dog. I was so depressed. You know, the game became, you know, I never played football to prove anything to anybody. You know, I played the game to have fun with it, bro. That's why I enjoyed it. That's where I played my best football. And because of the situation I was put in, it went to trying to prove to people that, you know, that I can make this right, proving to myself, even though this situation was the fucking worst, that I can make the best of it. And then the expectations, you know, it just kind of drained on me, bro. Denver is not an easy place to play either. And especially me coming from the same division with the Chargers, getting drafted there, and then coming there. Like, bro, I didn't even know how to hate the Chargers at that point. I was to the point where you couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to retire a Charger, dog. So my whole experience was ass, bro. It's just, you know, the Chargers really didn't know the story. So they hated me. Denver hated me. So I was trying to prove everything to the world, dog, and it became too much for me.
Reek, what are your thoughts on that, man?
This is the first time I'm actually hearing this story. All right. In a sense, I'm not mad at it because I can understand part of it from an athlete's perspective, like for him taking accountability, saying that he should have took better precautions. But at the same time, like it's the NFL, you got to make the most out of your opportunities. You know, you played 2 years for Denver. When your name was called, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So you can only be mad at yourself for that. And I like that part that he's taking accountability where he said he messed up. I think it was for the best that he's no longer a Bronco. You know, I don't consider when he first came to the Broncos. To be honest, I defended him a lot because I was like, Melvin Gordon's a great back. And then once we got to that second season, and the fumbles just kept happening and everything, and I was like, yeah, he's just not our guy. So I understand you wanna be on a team, you want to stay on the team that you've been drafted to because you feel like it's your home, but also at the same time, like he said, that opportunity was gone. You still got to go out and make the most of your opportunity because you never know what comes of it. And you see, after the Broncos, yeah, he had that little small stint with the Chiefs, but then after that, he didn't really have a career after that. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
he was practice squad, and he made it into a third year with the Broncos, not just the second one. Now, like, obviously I have a lot of thoughts here, but let me just preface by saying I understand the human element of it all. I do. Like, from a human perspective, I understand a lot of what you're saying. But from a business perspective, Melvin, that's not how any of this works. Like, that's not how any of the football business works at all. So let me just break it down. Firstly, your agent works for you. If you're finding out on social media that your agent chose a team and contract for you, then you have the freedom to say no. Fire your agent. Don't sign the contract. Sitting there literally crying about it does nothing. I take this part with a grain of salt anyway. He had a high profile holdout for the money with the Chargers before becoming a free agent. He instructed his agent to find the highest contract, and he was informed the entire time. It would be unprecedented for an agent to make this decision for you while you have no power in the situation. Just stop it. You are not a victim. There is one part I would agree with you on, is being shocked Denver signed you. We had a 2-time 1,000-yard rusher in Pro Bowler and hometown legend Philip Lindsay that general manager John Elway had just promised an extension. Then he turned around and signed you instead. So yeah, I agree with you there. But Melvin, that begs the question. If your time in Denver was so ass and just the fucking worst, then why did you sign a contract extension to stay with the team after the first one? You earned over $18 million during your time as a Bronco and did nothing but mope around and cry the whole fucking time. Maybe if you took the time to stop playing victim and crying about a situation you put yourself in, you would have been able to hold on to the damn ball. You got the lucrative contract you wanted. You just wanted to be universally praised in Broncos country without earning it and displacing the dude we loved at running back. But you still find ways to be victim in everything. Enjoy retirement, Melvin. Like, genuinely, I hope you enjoy retirement. You know, the league's better without you in it.
I still feel to this day that it's a crime that Philip Lindsay never got that extension. That man had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, made the Pro Bowl, and the Broncos pushed him aside. I can't forgive them for that to this day because he was the heart of that offense.
Yeah, he was the heart of that offense, and John Elway literally spit in his face, man. That's one of them decisions that Elway made as a GM that just blows my mind because extending Philip Lindsay wasn't going to break the bank. And
At
then
all.
you turn around and give Melvin Gordon $16 million, which was one of the highest contracts for a running back at the time. Like, that blows my mind.
And the hometown kid definitely would have took less for the
Definitely.
extension.
Yeah, he's openly talked about the situation. Philip has a lot to say, and you know, he doesn't hold back. He's very open with how he feels about it. Let's go ahead and hop out of 2020 to 2022 and back into the current day of 2026, where we are a couple weeks away from the NFL draft. Now, our job in this moment is to look at the Denver Broncos roster with an objective lens, dissect the strengths, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities of the Denver Broncos offense. We are going to go position by position, and you can't look at the offense without starting at the quarterback room. And in that quarterback room, we have Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Sam Ellinger. What are your thoughts on the quarterback room, Reek?
I think we got a great quarterback room right now. Bo obviously QB1, the captain, so it's good to have him. And then when we look at, Mr. Ellinger. I think he played great in preseason last year. The quarterback room that Sean Payton's got has been phenomenal because they all learn from each other. It's like a family. To this day, I still felt kind of sad that we didn't keep Zach Wilson, but he was going to have to get paid
Yep.
and everything. And then we got Jarrett Stidham. He played for us in the AFC Championship. He's a good backup. He just didn't have the reps last year when it mattered the most in the biggest game for the Broncos. So overall, I think we have a great QB room.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy that for the first time in a long time, we've had consistency at quarterback.
Yes.
I'm happy with where this room is at. However, I think they could use an upgrade at backup quarterback.
There's been rumors.
Yeah, I'm not convinced Stidham's the guy to hold up the offense if something happens to Bo. And truthfully, I think the X factor in the room is the invisible fourth quarterback. And I'm talking about newly christened offensive coordinator Davis Webb. A lot of the Bo's success depends on Davis and his ability to put the offense in good position with his play calling.
Yes, sir. And there's that rumor that team's been asking about Jarrett. So you never know.
Yep. You think they're going quarterback at any point in the draft?
I don't think so. I wouldn't see why. I feel like it'd be a waste unless they plan on cutting one of the two other quarterbacks. That's the only way I see it. But I don't think you should draft a quarterback in this draft anyways. I don't think it's a strong draft to draft a backup.
I'm not opposed to them drafting a quarterback in this draft. And my reason being is, a late 5th, 6th round quarterback that you take a flyer on and stick on the practice squad for a couple years and let them see how they develop. Yeah, that's about the most that I would ask out of a quarterback in this draft.
Most definitely.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the running back room. And in this running back room, we have J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Jaleel McLaughlin, Tyler Bidet, Cody Schrader, Deuce Vaughn, and fullback Adam Prentice. What's your thoughts on the running back room, Reek?
I've said it since the start of free agency. We have a good running back room, but there's always room for improvement. I still think we need a bigger back. I don't think us retaining Bidet and Jaleel, it's cool to have them on the team, but I still think we need to actually draft a bigger back. And I don't know. The running back room, I didn't like it once JK went down because I feel like we weren't really moving the ball like we should have. So, like I said, there's room for improvement in my eyes.
Definitely. Yeah. We lost explosiveness when JK went down. There was a visible difference in the offense's running game without J.K. Dobbins in the lineup. But as it stands right now, the Broncos have plenty of bodies in the running back room. But the real question is, how consistent can they be? You look at the injury history of J.K. Dobbins and how he has failed to hold up for an entire year over his career. And that's where the red flags start. If he goes down, are we relying on R.J. Harvey in committee? That scares me. I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen enough from RJ to prove he's a number one back in this league. And he's a weapon out of the backfield, absolutely. But if he can take a step forward, we're going to be solid at the running back this year. I still expect them to add somebody in the draft. The other pieces are good depth pieces, but you can't rely on them for any reasonable stretch of time. JK goes down and this offense is now one-dimensional, and I don't like that.
Yeah, we definitely need it again so we can avoid the problem that we had last year, so that Bo's not the leading rusher in a divisional game and that he ends up getting hurt. So
Broncos have a running game. There's a good chance they win the Super Bowl last year.
JK doesn't get hurt.
Yep. Reek, we're going to go ahead and jump over to the wide receiver room. We got Jalen Waddle, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, Michael Bandy, and Lil Jordan Humphrey. What's your thoughts on the wide receiver room?
Upgrade. The Jalen Waddle trade makes the wide receiver room even better now. And everybody's got to compete now. That's what I like. Nobody's spot is guaranteed. I think this is going to make the Broncos wide receivers be even better now and be more hungrier. All the drops are out the window. You got a dude that's very consistent in Jalen Waddle. He makes plays. He scores touchdowns. So we know he's going to be starting.
Yeah.
Cortland's going to be starting. But when it comes to everybody else, who's going to want it more?
Exactly. I said when we traded for Jalen Waddle that we now have the strongest receiving room in the division, and I stand on that. However, there's some concerns that I have about consistency, and that starts with the drops. Last season, the Denver Broncos receiving room dropped the ball at a historic rate, And we cannot afford to have that again. We could have won the AFC divisional round against Buffalo hands down without going to overtime by just catching the fucking ball. I'm excited about Waddle, but I'm looking at Cortland Sutton as the X factor of the room. Because if he can get his hands right this year, our offense is going to be a whole different animal than we saw last year. And Lord help the defenses we face if Marvin Mims gets going in as a receiver.
But especially with that money Cortland's getting paid, it's time to show up.
Definitely. And if Mims himself doesn't take them steps forward, this may be the final year of Marvin Mims in a Broncos jersey.
I truly hope he takes the steps. I'm a big fan of him. If he gets more reps, I'm telling you, our offense is explosive if he gets more reps this upcoming season.
Definitely. That rotation is going to be scary if he can get going. And then you look at Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin is fast, but can he be a consistent downfield threat? He hasn't proven that yet. And it's clear they want Pat Bryant to be a big part of this offense. There is a lot of competition in this room.
It all comes down to who wants it more and who's going to do what I call the nitty gritty to get the job done.
You think the Peyton brothers throw a wrench in the system and draft a receiver to create more competition?
I don't think they really have to. I think they're impressed with the room they have, especially after the Jalen Waddle trade. I think that's one room you really don't have to touch now, unless it comes down to, before the season started, you're not impressed of what you got.
I would say the track record of the Peyton brothers is to draft the best player available. I mean, that's how we ended up with Jahdae Barron last year in an already crowded cornerback room. So, never know.
You never know with them. They be scheming.
Yep, they be scheming. They be dropping false information, false hints just to throw people off. They don't want people knowing what they're doing.
They moving shiesty like Pooh Shiesty.
Ooh, 30. Pass it this way, man.
Bars!
Oh my goodness. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the tight end room where we have Evan Ingram, Adam Troutman, Lucas Kroll, Nate Atkins, and Caleb Lohner. What are your thoughts on the tight end room?
I think it's one of our weakest points on the offense, to be honest. I get it. We have our blocking tight ends, but we only have one tight end that's really a vertical threat, and that's Evan Ingram. I'm hoping we look into the draft and see who's available to pick up. If not, let's look in free agency because there's still some good tight ends out there, but I think that's one of our weakest parts of the offense right now as we speak.
For sure. The tight end room is the room that's going to draw the most criticism from me. We doubled down on Adam Troutman and Nate Atkins in free agency instead of finding a tight end who can stretch the field. Evan Ingram can be the possession guy, but he's getting older. We need someone that can be accounted for over the middle and force the defense to play one-on-one with Sutton Waddle on the outside. I truly hope we draft somebody this year that can be a real weapon. There always seems to be later tight ends in the draft that just take the league by storm. So I'm hoping that we can find one of those.
It sickens me because I know the one tight end we won't get, and it hurts my soul. I just hope the Chiefs don't get him because then I'll be pissed.
The last thing the Chiefs need is more fucking weapons.
Yeah, so don't draft Sadiq. That's all I ask.
I'm actually seeing some kind of like red flags about Sadiq.
Hey, he a dog though.
He's a dog for sure. Absolutely, he's a dog. He's just, I would say, more of an athlete than an actual tight end.
I know at this point he can honestly play receiver.
Yeah, so. that's what I'm saying. But all right, let's go ahead and move on to the offensive line room, and where we have tackles Garrett Bowles, Mike McGlinchey, Alex Palczewski, Matt Pert, Frank Crum, and Marcus Cox. Guards Quinn Miners, Ben Powers, Calvin Throckmorton, Nick Gargulio, Nash Jones. Centers Luke Wattenberg, Alex Forsyth, and Michael Dieter. What are your thoughts on the offensive line room?
The big hogs.
Yep.
I've been impressed with our offensive line. When we had a couple go down last year, the backups, they stood 10 toes down and did what they had to do. So I think that's as of right now, I give it a tie for our quarterback room. It's a three-way tie. Quarterback room, our receiver room, and our offensive line is the best things we got on offense right now, I think. So,
got you. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and give it to the offensive line. I think they just might be the most solid group that we're talking about today. Biggest question marks Along the offensive line is Luke Wattenberg at center, who has done a damn good job securing his contract extension, and Ben Powers, if not only for his injury reasons. If he's in the game, he's a serviceable guard. Outside of that, you have 2 Pro Bowl, All-Pro, Protector of the Year finalists in Garrett Bowles and Quinn Miners, and another solid starter in Mike McGlinchey on the right side. Of course, injuries have been an issue, so you have to look at the depth behind the starters with curious eyes. But again, all the players who have been in Sean Payton's offense are all familiar with the system. Bo makes their life easier as well, being as mobile as he is. I'm honestly expecting a depth piece or two to be added in the draft and afterwards via undrafted free agents.
Oh yeah, you could never go wrong with getting more offensive linemen just to have the depth. And then, I think those guys are very coachable, and they'll teach the knowledge to the young guys because they all stood together. Our offensive line is hands down one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You don't get two finalists for an award like the Protector of the Year, in its inaugural season without, some sort of something to back that up.
Even though one of them should have won, and it's a crime. I'm gonna just say that it's a crime. I'm not gonna speak on it.
I agree, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give that nod to Garrett Bowles. Garrett Bowles should have won that award.
He played his ass off last season.
Yeah, he definitely did. But that is about all the time that we have for today's episode. Reek, before we head out of here, any place these folks can find you on the socials?
Reek.season with 2 N's at the end, if you know what I'm saying. Damn, I'm kind of spitting some bars tonight. Might have to just drop a track after this.
Hey, we might. You know where to go.
We get in the booth.
Yes, sir.
I just want to pull the J. Cole and take back my words and all that like he is.
Yeah. Sad day. But y'all heard him. Reek.season. Make sure you go give that boy a follow. But make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. Another reminder, once we get to 100 subscribers, we will be launching the Broncos jersey giveaway. So let your peeps know that they have an opportunity to score some free Broncos gear, courtesy of Life in a Barrel. Life in a Barrel is also on TikTok and Instagram at Life in a Barrel Pod on both platforms. Hit us up there. We try to stay as active as possible on there. I could probably do a little better at getting those videos uploaded. But, you can find me on all social media at town.5280. Make sure to give me a follow. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure to hit that follow button and give us a rating. We very much appreciate it. But until next time, where we go over the defense position by position, for Reek, for Town, for Broncos Country, we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.
Life in a barrel. Life in a barrel. Life in a barrel.